we've seen kind of what Chris Olave is, and unless he makes major improvements as a red zone player or as a consistent receiving threat receptions wise, he increases his targets by 30, 40. Why are we expecting much different from Chris Olave? We've seen this in back-to-back years from Chris Olave now, around 1,000 yards, around 5 touchdowns, 75, 80 catches. And to expect more from that in the exact same role with the exact same players around him, same quarterback in Derek Carr, same running back in Alvin Kamara, same head coach, like same receiving core. There hasn't been any changes to this damn offense. So unless Chris Olave grew 4 inches, unless he got some other kind of supersonic speed, unless his route tree is going to be expanded for this team throughout the year, what are we expecting out of Chris Olave? He's going to be the same damn player we've already seen, and you got to take him in the second round. There's no upside. This dude's not hitting 1,500 yards. He's not hitting 10 touchdowns. He's not hitting 100 catches. Why are we taking him in the second round when we got guys going after him that do have that capability? You mean to tell me already in fantasy football, we're expecting the 9th best work right now out of Marvin Harrison Jr., his first year in the league? We saw Justin Jefferson. We've seen Jamar Chase come in and have massive rookie years. I get it. But to just assume that out of Marvin Harrison Jr., his first year is crazy. Kyler Murray has never thrown for 4,000 yards in his entire NFL career. The team has Trey McBride, who's probably going to be a 1,000-yard guy. Say Marvin Harrison does go for 1,200 yards. Say he goes for 1,300 yards. That's an incredible rookie year. But you're drafting that as a ceiling. He would finish as a wide receiver 9. He's not getting 1,500 yards in this offense. He's not going to have 15 touchdowns, 100 catches. It takes rookies some time. He's the best receiver in the class. I get that. But in 12-team leagues, you can find better than that in the second and third round. Why are we reaching on a guy that's a rookie we've never seen step on the field that we're hoping gets to a Mike Evans level production? We're hoping he gets to a Devontae Adams level production. We're hoping he can get to a Brandon Ayuk level production. And you're taking him ahead of all of those guys. It doesn't make sense. Nico Collins, wide receiver 11? Breakout year for Nico Collins. Congratulations. Are we just acting like these targets aren't going to get soaked up by Stephon Diggs? Is he just that washed up to you guys that he's not going to play a role on this team? The team just traded for him and gave him all of his money in 1 year? 4,100 yards for CJ Stroud last year. It wasn't like he was throwing for 5,000, 5,500 yards. Where are we getting wide receiver 11 out of Nico Collins unless you're just expecting Stephon Diggs to be like a 700-yard guy, which he's been a 1,000-yard receiver since his very early days in Minnesota. Nico Collins is probably going to be the number 2. To some people, they like Tank Dell more than Nico Collins. So it's debatable that he could even be the wide receiver 3 on this team. But to draft him at wide receiver 11 ADP is asinine. In fantasy, we need to find clear identifications that they're going to be the number 1 receiver and have trajectory to blow the ADP out the water and have a higher ceiling than where we drafted him at. And Nico Collins, for as good as he was last year, is not the wide receiver 11. Now, I hated this landing spot on draft day. I absolutely hated it because Daniel Jones is not the quarterback that you want to see throwing your guy the football if you're a wide receiver. He's never had an 800-yard receiver. So this would be breaking the mold at wide receiver 20. I know it's the best receiver that Daniel Jones ever had, but now he's going to have to hit 1,000 yards. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed. See, 805. I think that's a really good season for Malik Neighbors coming in as a rookie, especially with Daniel Jones at the quarterback position, who's never thrown for more than 3,200 yards. In year 1, with Daniel Jones at quarterback, with all these other, Wan'Dale Robinson was a second-round pick. Jalen Hyatt was a third, fourth-round pick. Darius Slayton, who's been a consistent target for Daniel Jones over the years. He's on his team. And we're just going to assume that Malik Neighbors is going to be a 1,000-yard guy. To draft him at wide receiver 20, he would have to hit 1,000 yards. Malik Neighbors ain't hit no 1,000 yards this year. Like Keenan Allen is going after Malik Neighbors. Calvin Ridley is going after Malik Neighbors. George Pickens is going after Malik Neighbors. Chris Godwin is going after Malik Neighbors. You can do much better in your draft than trying to reach for this guy, hoping that he can become the receiver that he will be eventually. There's not a whole lot of upside with this guy, man. He had 77 catches last year, 858 yards, 5 touchdowns. So what's the category that everybody probably thinks he'll be better in? What, yardage? For Lamar Jackson, who we know he hasn't really hit 4,000 yards yet. So is this guy going to hit 8 to 10 touchdowns? Is he going to be a 90 to 100 catch guy? Nah. So in your mid-tier wide receiver 3, there's other players who could reach that. Your Chris Godwins, your George Pickens, your Keenan Allens. These guys, Terry McLaurin. We've seen these guys hit those milestones before. And we're taking Zay Flowers ahead of those guys now. It's easy to think this Ravens offense, like, yeah, Zay Flowers takes another step. They also have a guy in Rashad Bateman who they've been talking up this year. We also have another guy, Mark Andrews, who's out for a good portion of the year. He will be returning this season. And Lamar Jackson himself has lost some weight. I'm anticipating he's going to be running the ball a little bit more this season. Zay Flowers, I mean, say he hits 1,000 yards, 80 catches, and 5 touchdowns. Would that shock you? Nah, that'd be a good season for him. Just not wide receiver 25 levels. Can anybody explain why people think Ja'Marr Chase should be the #1 pick in fantasy? There's no reasonable thought to how Ja'Marr Chase can reach the #1 receiver spot in fantasy football, let alone the 101 or first pick. Are we not forgetting that Ja'Marr Chase has only had one season over 1,400 yards? Are we not forgetting that his quarterback has been injury prone over the years? Are we not forgetting that Ja'Marr Chase himself tends to get nicked up at times? Ja'Marr Chase had only 5 games last season over 9 targets. He's going right now as the wide receiver 3 over guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's been a consistent 1,400-yard guy, over Justin Jefferson, whose floor is 1,500 yards, over A.J. Brown, who's had back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons. And last season, Ja'Marr Chase averaged 16 fantasy points a game. One of those games included a 50-point week. That's supposed to translate now to wide receiver 1, 2, or 3? We have yet to see Ja'Marr Chase string together anything that suggests he'll be the wide receiver 1 or a top 3 option.